Welcome to Stories from Everywhere. I'm your host, Jill Ferguson, and I'm very excited today to have a close friend of mine and one of Let's Talk About Love's board members, Danielle Brooks, on with me for the show. How are you today, Danny?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to talk to you about your book here, The Extraordinary Ordinary You.
Yeah.
And I love how it kind of sparkles in this light.
Sparkle.
And to talk to you about all the things that you love in your life.
My favorite topic.
Why is this your favorite topic?
Oh, I just love love. I love love. I love everything about love.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what does love mean to you?
Oh, gosh. What does it mean to me? Love is, what does it mean? I don't know that it means anything. It's kind of like the antithesis of love almost for me, because it's like, well, because I remember going through a phase when I was really exploring love, and I'm like, okay, well, what is love not? Well, love has no meaning. It doesn't mean anything if I love you or if you love me. It doesn't mean that I'm special or unique, or doesn't mean that. And love doesn't have any conditions. Like if I cook, you're going to do the dishes, and if you don't do the dishes, I'm not going to love you. I'm like, no, that's not love either. And then I was like going on to the conditions and the expectations that we put on the people that we love, and I thought, well, it's not that either. So what does love mean to me? God, it's just, it just is. It's just this really beautiful, unconditional thing that just seems to exist in, through, and around so many things.
Okay.
And,
That's kind of a very ethereal answer, right?
well, okay. Well, we could ground it down, and we can say, okay, love to me is when my cat comes up and goes like that, right?
Yeah.
Love to me is going down to the freshwater creek here in Sedona and getting my fresh water straight from the creek. It's a smile. It's a hug. It's a kiss. It's even sorrow and sadness, when we lose someone that we love, because it shows us how much we love. And it's many things. Yeah.
Oh,
Is that better?
yeah. Well, neither are better or worse, right? There's no judgment with either of it. But yeah, it gives you more concrete, right, examples, I think, of what just is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And that was a great cat imitation.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do or who you are.
So the work that I love the most, I do many things, but the work that I love the most is the work as an integration guide. And so what that is I work with individuals all over the world to help them prepare for a variety of psychedelic medicine experiences. Sometimes they're plant medicines where it's ayahuasca, psilocybin, toad medicines. Sometimes it's for synthetic medicine experiences such as MDA, MDMA, or ketamine. Those are just a few examples. And what I do is I help them to prepare for those experiences. So that includes setting intentions, how to relax and how to let go, how to work with the medicine, how to navigate the several phases of a psychedelic medicine journey. And then they go in and they will go to whatever organization that they're going to have that medicine experience. And so they'll have the medicine experience, and then I catch them after they've landed. And I'm there to say, oh my God, I love you. How are you? How are you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually? What was revealed to you in the experience? And then I work with them to integrate those revelations, how to bridge the gap between the etheric. So I love it that we went immediately from the etheric, right? From the divine into this this physical reality. And so I kind of help them bridge and implement. And sometimes it's not a directive that, you need to go do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
So often the directives are let go, just be, love, of course, yeah.
Especially a lot of self-love,
Oh,
because a lot of the things that we let go during experiences like that tend to be things that were emotions we're holding on to and stuff, not just even against other people or against things that have happened in our lives, but against ourselves, right?
yeah.
Stories we bought into that were not enough. Um, we end up learning to have a lot more self-compassion.
You
Yeah.
know, before when I was doing this work, I worked as a nutrition professional, and I taught other nutrition professionals how to work with their clients on emotional eating, how to eat intuitively and work through the emotional eating pattern. And back then, my whole journey was working with negative thought patterns, limiting belief structures, and how to deal with emotions.
Mhm.
And because I was an emotional eater myself, I would feed, soothe, and avoid my emotions with food. And so when I went in through my own journey and sought counseling for about 5 years and learned what I learned and began teaching it, it would take me 2 years sometimes to get someone to the point of self-love, because it would
Mhm.
take that long to let go of the negative thought patterns, limiting belief structures, and to deal with their egos and the emotions. Now, with plant medicines, people are experiencing self love within one session, or 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Yeah.
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 So it's helping accelerate the healing and the growth.
It's a huge catalyst. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your book, The Extraordinary Ordinary You,
Hmm.
was a labor of love on your part, right? And it's also a gift of love to readers and to humanity in some ways, I think.
Hmm.
So tell me a little bit about the book, or tell our listeners a little bit about the book. I know it pretty well since I worked with it on you, with you on it. But
Yes,
yeah.
yes. You brought so much to that book. Thank you. Um, it is everything that I've learned throughout my life. And so when I was a nutritional therapist, and I could not stop my mind from thrashing me with thoughts like, who are you? You're not good enough, not worthy, not good enough, not lovable. And when I did go into counseling and I learned, and the counselor that I worked with was really wonderful, and he taught me how to face negative thought patterns and how to deal with limiting belief structures and how to handle my emotions. And so, what I put into that book is everything that I did on my own journey back to myself, in peeling away the layers of what I wasn't. The things that we inherit from our parents and the world around us. I inherited unworthiness from my mom and from my dad, and of course, they inherited it from their parents, and so on. And so, it's a book about how to remove the constructs: judgment, fear, self doubt, guilt, shame, all of that stuff. The only missing piece for me was the ego. And when I went in and I did a plant medicine journey, when I was asked to start an integration program, and I wanted to, meet the organization to see if I wanted to work with them or not. And in that journey, it was revealed to me that the ego could be transcended. And afterwards, I came out and I was like, "Death to the ego!" Fought it, I fought it, I fought it. And oh God, for like 6 months, it was like trying to take an axe to the ego, and none of it worked. And everybody said to me, "Danny, you just have to make peace with it." And that just
It's
didn't
not
make
the
sense.
enemy.
It's, well, yeah,
The
exactly.
ego teaches us a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Or can if we
It,
let it.
it, it definitely keeps
Yeah.
us safe for
Mhm.
sure. And so as I began to work with it, and what I found really worked well, it wasn't negotiating with it or communicating with it. It was literally, yeah, loving it, saying, "I love you, but no, we're not going to do that thing anymore. We're safe. I love you. No, I love you. No, I love you. No." And the more I worked with it, then the more it began to recede in the background. And that was the final missing piece for me that led me to what we could call self-realization. And so the the medicine work that I do helps a lot as well, because what I would see is I would see people go through various phases. They would go through the letting go phase. This is letting go of what I'm not, the unworthiness, the guilt, the shame, the judgments, the comparisons. And then sometimes in the medicine space, people would have identity crisis because they'd realize, wow, if I'm not all of that, then what am I? And which is great. Whenever anybody hits that place, I'm like, yeah. They look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, when you don't know who you are, you're closer to knowing who you are than ever before.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will go through the phases of spiritual significance, and then eventually they get to the place where they're understanding, oh my gosh, that's who I am. That's what I am. Because when we let go of all of the things that we're not, we come home to the truth of who we are. And that's what that whole book is about. It's a manual for self-discovery. It helps people to take off the can I say shit? Let go of this shit.
It's a YouTube
Yeah.
show, so yeah.
And acclimate to the truth.
Mhm. What other things do you love besides sharing your wisdom and knowledge and working with clients one on one? You also work with them in groups. You've been working with a lot of entrepreneurs, I know.
Hmm. Yeah, I love doing retreats for entrepreneurs, business owners, and CEOs. Those are a lot of fun. I in my private life, I love going for hikes. You know, I
Mhm.
live in Sedona, so I get a hike out on the red rocks and go swim in the creek, and so I love being out in nature. That's one of my favorite things, and I love playing with my cat in the morning. My house is filled with cat toys. And I came home one day and I was picking a bunch of juniper berries from the juniper trees here because I can make juniper tea with it. And a whole bunch of them spilled on the floor. And my cat thought they were the greatest thing. And now it's like the juniper berry is her favorite toy. So she actually plays fetch. And so
Oh, so she's not trying to eat them all.
no,
She just,
no, she
yeah.
just loves batting them around and playing with them and doing all kinds of fun stuff with it. And so, I love having her in my life, and I love, going out to a good meal with friends and family. And gosh, what else do I love? I love writing.
Yeah.
I really enjoy putting thoughts and words. I love playing with words. To convey a feeling with words is really fun for me. And I enjoy reading. Um, yeah, yeah.
What do you so you're on the board of our company, on the
Mhm.
board of directors, and what do you wish other people knew about, let's talk about love?
Oh, that there's no boundaries to it, that there's no constructs, that it's open and it's free and it's safe. And the intention behind let's talk about love is about expanding and evolving. And love, it can't be defined for sure, but it can definitely be shared and celebrated, and that's what I love about Let's Talk About Love. Yeah.
Oh, nice. You
Yeah.
put the love in there too. Yeah. I mean, the whole purpose of the starting of this social purpose corporation, which is we're trying to make it into a movement, right? Is to just
Mhm.
to send more love into the world, right?
Yeah.
In all of its different forms. So self
You
love, love for family, love for friends, love for loved ones, so,
and the work that I do,
and love for enemies too, or
yeah,
for people that rub us the wrong way.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's people that are fighting for love, and so like, no, that doesn't work. That it doesn't work. But one thing about love that I think is very important is in the work that I do, people might, whether they're going in for medicine experience or whether I'm just working with them on one-on-one for some coaching,
Mhm.
um, oftentimes they know that I need more love in my life. I want more love in my life and I want more joy,
Mm.
but they don't know how to do it. And so I always tell them that, it's going to be awkward and
Mhm.
it's going to be uncomfortable. Your partner may be standing at the sink doing the dishes and you might have the urge to go up and wrap your arms around them, but you're scared because you maybe you don't want to get rejected or whatever the story is. And so that's when go up and wrap your arms around them. It's going to be awkward, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's safe. We think that loving is not safe, but it is. Fear is the illusion. Fear is that's where the lack of safety arises from, is the idea that we need to be afraid of love and we don't.
Well, let's delve a little deeper into that, right? Because I think that as adult humans, right, that not feeling safe in love comes from when we're children.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's the, you know, child that's playing t-ball or whatever and hurts themselves on the field and the coach says get back in the game, right? You just brush it off. And
Mm-hmm.
so then the child doesn't feel validated, for lack of a better word,
Mm-hmm.
in their pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we go through that, right, over and over and over again. We go through that during school, and we're in school. From some people think that a child is acting out when it may be they're in pain or they're hurting and they're not getting what they want, right, out
Yeah.
of that situation by somebody trying to calm them down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not malice on the other person's part that's causing the pain, not necessarily. Um, but yeah, so then we go through repeated experiences like this, which then subconsciously often tells us the message that love's not safe.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think that the parents, our parents are the best example of that, because if you think about when we're kids, right, we don't care what our parents think in the beginning. We want to go where we want to go and do what we want to do, and we want to play,
Well,
right?
all children are very self-centered.
Oh yeah, we'll go up.
Babies,
Yeah,
toddlers.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
go up to Aunt Sally and we'll say, Aunt Sally, why are you so fat? And our
yeah.
parents will go, ooh.
Oh yeah.
That's when it starts, right? It's like, no, 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 no. This is good. This is bad. This
Yeah.
is right. This is wrong. And in the beginning, we'll buck it and we'll go like, no, 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 Ma, I'm going to do what I want to do. But eventually, if we want the love of our parents,
We stop speaking our truth.
we conform.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like you said, when we grow up and we go to school, then we got to belong and we got to look good and not look bad. And there's other constructs that we have to deal with.
We don't want to be bullied or made fun of. We want friends,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
we go into self-preservation mode, whether we realize it or not.
Yep, it's not safe to be ourselves, and it's not safe. We won't get love if we're by ourselves, or if
Mhm.
we be ourselves. Yeah, and so to access that which was lost, or that we gave away, or that was taken away from us, we have to begin to remove those layers, and we have to. And I find that the best thing that removes those layers or the constructs of the past is awareness, because when we're aware of those things, then we can literally go, oh, there's that old story. Working its way out. All right. And then you can go love.
Mhm.
Yeah. And practice and fall down and get back up and be embarrassed and be vulnerable. And
And that's really important actually, because it's not a one and done. Like I'm letting this go and then I'm done. It's going to crop back up again and you're going to be like, except this time, instead of subconsciously going through the motions of what you've always done, you'll be like, oh, okay, so here I thought I was done dealing with this, but I'm not done dealing with this.
mm-mm.
It's time to let it go again.
Mhm.
Acknowledge that, okay, I understand where you came from.
It'll be like you catch it after the fact and you're like,
Yeah,
ooh, and then
yeah,
after the fact, ooh, after the fact, ooh, and then you'll catch yourself in the middle of it and you'll be like, whoa, I'm doing that thing, right? And then eventually you catch yourself just before it
yeah,
and then it kind of fades away.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you realize it doesn't serve you any positive purpose moving forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And love is just so great. It's so good.
Yeah.
once
It's
you get over the fear.
well, and it's I I hear people say things about like, "Oh, we need to love ourselves despite our flaws." And I feel like there's a lot of judgment in that that doesn't necessarily need to be there,
No.
right? Let's just love ourselves as is, period.
Yeah.
We're not making judgments whether there's flaws or perfection or whatever in between those two things.
Yeah.
Right?
And we could even take it further and say, I love myself because of my flaws,
Mhm.
because it's my flaws that teach me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like and I never used to think I had this, as you know, streak of perfectionism, "Oh, it's gotta be perfect, it's gotta be just right, because if it's not perfect, then, someone's gonna judge me, and I'm gonna fail and be unlovable and die." This was
Release of embarrassment.
right. Right. And, after I've gone through many humbling, what we could call failures, right? It was those failures that tempered me, that gave me humility, they gave me the chutzpah to get back up and try it again. Like, oh, dang, I'm going to do this. Dang, I'm going to do this. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a client who has a book coming out in Jan or June,
Mhm.
and in the book, the client says that the he believes that his ADHD that he has is his actually one of his superpowers. And he said he used to think it was like a burden, right, that he had to carry around, and then he realized that everybody who has any kind of flaw, which he thought as a kid his ADHD was a flaw, but that it's actually what makes him uniquely him and gives him the drive in certain areas to succeed.
Yeah.
And um, I find that very, very interesting because
Yeah.
there's a whole chapter in his book about turning your challenges right into your superpower, your unique challenges.
I love that. I love that. A good example of that, I was working with a client this morning, and she was really wanting to get to self-love, and really was like, I just need to figure out how to do this. And I said, all right. We started rolling up our sleeves and digging in, and I'm like, well, tell me a little bit more about what's going on in your life. And she says, well, I don't like my work, I really avoid my work, and I really resent having to go in and do these things, and I have my son, and my son only ever wants things from me. It's take, 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 take. And then this thing is happening. And so I have a lot of anger and resentment and resistance. And I said, all right. And so if we, looked at those and we became aware of those and we said, all right, I'm going to go after this. I'm going to go after this anger. What is anger telling you? She says, oh, it's always telling me that I'm doing something that I don't want to do. I'm like, great. Okay. So there's the gift. And so then there's the boundary that's asking to be made. And it took her a while to understand the process of, well, wait a minute. If I face this anger and I face this resentment, and instead of avoiding things that are making me uncomfortable, I face it and I deal with it and I move through it, what will you experience? What will I experience? And she was like, oh my God, I would feel empowered and I would love myself. And I would like, yay, right?
Yeah,
So sometimes those, what we would call the things that we don't like ourselves, that we judge about ourselves, those are the way if we're
yeah.
willing to face them.
Wow, the
Yeah.
way to self-love, the way to healing,
Yeah.
the way to growth.
Yeah. Face the hard stuff. Yeah. Be willing to see what needs to be seen, to talk about what needs to be talked about.
The same client that I was just talking about a few minutes ago has a whole chapter in his book about what it means to lean into discomfort and how that discomfort is actually telling us about how where we need to go and how we need to do it, basically.
Yes. Mhm. Mhm.
And
If I'm
uh,
uncomfortable,
yeah,
then no. Okay, here we go.
yeah, like okay, what am I learning from this discomfort? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
beautiful gifts that we get in our lives if we pay attention to ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
what our bodies are doing, and not just like what our little monkey minds are up to, but our emotional state and how we react to things.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. When we deal with the negative thought patterns in loving ways, but no, mind, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. Right? Go get me something better. And we begin to deal with those emotional imprints from our youth. Right? The physical body begins to adapt, and we have a new way of being around peace. And we start experiencing more peace and more joy and more love for sure. But we've got to make it through the mind and the emotions for sure. Yeah, the
Through
ego.
through the discomfort.
Yep,
And it's not trying to get rid of it. It's figuring out what it's telling you.
that's right. Receiving the gift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful way to say it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what kinds of things would you love in your life for the rest of the year? We're in the middle of April now, or beginning of April, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Um, the future is always such an interesting thing for me
yeah,
because I tend to spend as much time as I possibly can in the now.
yeah.
However, mine does love to go to there's a house that I think I would love to create um,
Okay.
at some point down the road. So finding, um, yeah, yeah, find the perfect house would be great. I can see it in my mind's eye. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. So
Yeah,
I would love this year for that to continue to unfold in its own manifestation.
yeah.
As far as work goes, I've been doing a lot more training. So every year for the last 3 years, I've been asked to teach people how to do the integration guide work that I do. And so this year, I was compelled to put it into a formal training platform, and that'll come up onto my website pretty soon. So I'll begin to collect people's information if they're interested in receiving that training. And so I'm excited about that. And mm,
And that was an overcoming discomfort for you for a little while too. Some resistance was there into creating all that
yeah, well, and
because you did that for so long when you owned your wellness center and you trained people and trained the trainers,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think what happened is my life was I was going off in several different directions. In one direction, I was being called to actually serve medicine in the medicine space,
Mhm.
and then I was being called to continue to do my own spiritual journey and continue with my own awakening process, and then the integration work. And so I was feeling kind of split off. And so now it feels like everything's kind of coming back together.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because talk about love, right? Let's
Yeah.
talk about love. I'm one of those people that if I master something, I'm done with it. It's like then I want to move on to something else.
Yeah.
And working as an integration guide in the integration space for as long as I have, I've really mastered that. And so I was really kind of ready and willing to go off to what's the next adventure. And then I realized, well, wait a minute. There's so much wisdom that I know that can be brought forth in whether it's in the continuing to teach what I do within the plant medicine space,
Mhm.
or whether it's finding a way to do what I do without a platform. So in the beginning, I used food as a platform for self realization.
Yeah.
And then I went on to plant medicine as a platform for self realization. And so now the idea of not even having a platform and just continuing to help people on their journeys towards self
Mhm.
realization. Um, yeah, I would love to see that unfold as well. But right now, it's just exciting doing it all. I love working with people. And, I used to have some resistance of, I want to go play and I want to go do this and I want to go do that. And I don't want to work with 10 people a day because I was seeing a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
And then I realized, well, no, Danny, just have a little balance in your life and you can have both. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking, working 4 days a week and playing three, or
No, no.
working different hours
Yeah,
because I mean, and so many of us, I think, get stuck in this mindset of this is the hours that we need to work because they're traditional hours. And it's like, wait a minute, no, I work for
mhm,
myself. I can make my own
yeah,
schedule,
yep,
right? I
yep,
can do things before normal hours or after normal hours or on the weekends or whenever it feels right for everybody. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And that's where I'm at now, is just kind of finding that balance. I see clients on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and then I do a lot of writing and hiking and playing on the weekends, and so, yeah,
that's wonderful.
yeah.
So, do you have a favorite quote about love or inspiration or anything?
Mhm,
I know I just put you on the spot because we didn't talk about
mhm.
that, and this whole thing's unscripted anyway. So,
Yeah. Yeah, when I think about love, I think of unconditional love. And this is just my own realization. It didn't come from anywhere outside of myself. It was my own exploration of what I thought love was. And then as I began to unwind what it wasn't, I came back to the unconditionality of love and the indescribable nature of love. And so, yeah, no quote, but just really, oh, if I could inspire people to explore love with curiosity,
mhm,
and even just saying the word love,
mhm.
love, love, love. What is love? Love. And feel love, to know love, to truly know love beyond everything that we've been taught that it is, then that would be what I would share.
Nice. Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to reach out to you and talk to you, get to know you a little better, or schedule time with
Mm.
you as a
Yeah.
coach, what's their best way to get in touch with you? What's your website?
They can go to my website, which is daniellebrooks.com, Danielle, Brooks.com. And they can literally hop on my schedule for a free 30-minute discovery call, and we can talk about whether we're a good fit and if I can be of service or not. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay, that's wonderful. You're
Yeah.
also on LinkedIn and some social media I know, but
Yep. LinkedIn is probably the best place for me. I don't do a lot of social media, and there is a second book that's going to be coming out. I'm my target for that is going to be June, and
okay.
that's going to be an integration guidebook of sorts to help other people who are wanting to dabble in plant medicines do it responsibly, because there's intentionally and responsibly, because there's a lot of stuff going on there that, yeah.
Yeah, not all places are created the same
That's
with
right.
the same intentions.
Yeah, I catch a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so, if anybody even wants is headed in that direction and wants to talk to you about the best places to do what their goals are, right?
Mhm.
They can even give
Yeah,
you get on your calendar for that.
yeah, yeah, happy to help in any way I can.
You're happy to show love to everybody. I know
That's
that.
right, that's right,
Yeah,
and I do, I
yeah,
love everybody,
yeah,
it's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
Yeah. Look at us, love.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how much I love you?
Aw, I hope it's a lot because I love you a lot.
I love you too, a lot. Okay.